If I told you right now that there is an easy solution to poverty, animal cruelty, disease, and injustice, would you believe me? And that this solution is dangling right in front of our faces within our reach. Have you ever thought about where your food comes from? A lot of people either have no idea what it is they are eating or choose to ignore the reality of what they put into their mouths. It's surprising that people who care about their health, the environment, animal cruelty, and poverty still eat meat. The reason I mention this is because what most people do not know or remain ignorant to is that the production and consumption of meat is a major cause of health issues, environment issues, poverty, and animal cruelty. A staggering 925 million individuals around the world are suffering from the effects of hunger, and of that, 870 million are affected by malnutrition. Those 925 million individuals could outnumber the combined population of the United States, Canada, and the European Union. That means that there are enough starving people in the world to fill up 2 continents. Another staggering 2.5 million children under the age of 5 die from starvation. It has been proven that there is already enough food on the planet to feed everyone and make everyone feel comfortable. We are currently growing enough food to feed 10 billion people. But why do people continue to starve? The reason to that lies in the production of animal-based foods, meat, dairy, and eggs. If we cut out 10% of the meat the planet eats now, 100 million starving people will survive. 84% of the farmland used to crops globally is used to grow crops for animals to eat so that they can be slaughtered for their meat. If this land was used to grow crops for people, there would be plenty of food for everyone and no more starvation or poverty on the planet. With the way the planet's going, we need 2 planet Earths to accompany all of the livestock killed for meat. We only have one, and she is dying. When it comes down to eating a cow or a dog, which would you pick? Animals are not simply food products, but thinking, feeling individuals who want to enjoy their lives. An animal's life is as important and irreplaceable to them as ours is to us. But as children, we are conditioned to view cows, pigs, chickens, sheep, and fish as inferior beings whose only reason for existence is to provide us with meat, dairy, and eggs. Over 150 billion sentient living creatures are slaughtered every year for human consumption. These shocking figures do not even include fish and sea creatures, whose deaths are so severe they are only measured in tons. By 2048, all of our fisheries will be dead, the lungs and arteries of the earth. Today, 3/4 of the world's fisheries are exploited or depleted. Over the whole course of human existence, 113 billion people have lived and died, yet we top this value every single year by billions more. More than 6 million animals are killed for food every hour. Animals are not other species, but other people. Animal rights is now the greatest social issue since the abolition of slavery. Nothing is being done about it. Even free-range eggs and meat are actually chickens, pigs, and cows stuffed inside tiny cages with a small window to see the outside world they could never explore. I would have liked to go into detail about the torture of animals, but I realized that most people would not be comfortable with hearing or watching what happens to animals on a daily basis. But then again, if you shouldn't see it, then why should your mouth? If you accept that animals have rights, raising and killing animals for food is morally and ethically wrong. Every day you engage in a behavior that requires you to distort your thoughts, numb your feelings, and act directly against your core values that creates a global atrocity. But we don't realize that it's irrational or destructive. We don't see that we have a choice. How can some of the most frequent and important choices we make appear not to be choices at all? This question was asked by Melanie Joy, who researched for nearly 2 decades on the psychology of eating animals. Now imagine that you're at a dinner party. You're served a meal of meaty and cheesy lasagna. Imagine that you like this meal so much that you ask the chef for the recipe. And the chef says that the secret lies in the meat. They say that you should use 3 pounds of well-seasoned golden retriever. Now your perspective of the meat has changed. You imagine it to be not food, but a dead animal. In reality, this is what meat is, a dead animal. And we have gotten so used to this heinous act that we think that it's a crucial part to our diet and our lives. People say, I can't live without meat, or that's impossible, when really, meat, dairy, and eggs are one of the most unnecessary luxuries that we have. It's not just animal rights and poverty that are major issues with the production of animals. Your health is too. It's a modern-day stereotype that we can't live without meat in our diet because of protein deficiency and iron deficiency. Well, that's not the case, because you can get every vitamin and mineral you need from plants. Most foods you already eat are vegan. Some days you're being vegan without even realizing it. And it's not just that you can survive off of plants, it's that meat is, in most ways, unhealthy. The World Health Organization states that even eating a small amount of processed meat every day will increase your chances of getting cancer. And Cornell and Harvard both say that the amount of meat to have in a healthy diet is precisely 0. There is no plant-based diet that is protein deficiency. People have been thriving with plant-based diets for centuries. If people were vegan, hospital waiting lists would go down. We would be so healthy that we wouldn't even need doctors. I would like you to try and name a single disease or illness that is caused by having a plant-based diet. Most people fear, when transitioning to a plant-based diet, that they will be forced to eat nothing but lettuce and tofu, and will never be able to eat real food again. People that are vegan eat a variety of foods, both healthy and unhealthy. Non-vegan foods can be easily substituted and switched out, and usually taste the same as meat, if not better. When people talk about the environment and climate change, they assume that climate change and global warming are caused only by plastic and carbon emissions. Although these are understandable factors, this is simply not the case. Animal agriculture causes 18% of greenhouse gas emissions worldwide, 5% more than all transport and vehicles. Livestock and their byproducts account for 51% of all worldwide greenhouse gas emissions. My main point is that the energy used to transport, compact, and store animals' flesh is much too energy intensive. Even without fossil fuels, we will exceed our 565 gigatons CO2 limit by 2030, all from raising animals. For example, one single beef patty uses up more water than if someone had a shower every day for 6 months. It takes 100 to 200 times more water to raise a pound of beef than it does to raise a pound of plant foods. Cutting down on just 1 kilo of beef saves 15,000 litres of water. Animal agriculture is responsible for 20 to 33% of all freshwater consumption in the world. That means that most of the fresh water that is available to dehydrated people, 663 million people worldwide, is being given to animals so that they can be slaughtered for their meat. Today, livestock covers 45% of Earth's total land, and animal agriculture is the leading cause of species extinction, ocean dead zones, and forest destruction. Today, 3/4 of the world's fisheries are exploited and depleted, and animal agriculture is responsible for up to 91% of Amazon destruction. With all this happening, why don't we stop? Science shows that reducing our emissions will create tangible effects immediately. The answer to that is that greedy men and world leaders are ignoring our protests and cries for help, and, as Greta Thunberg says, continuing to make enormous amounts of money. But is money that precious when you don't have a planet and proper ecosystem to live on? What happens when humans die out? Studies find that going vegan is the single biggest way to reduce our impact on the environment. What's the right thing to do? That's up to you to decide. Peace is not just the absence of war, it is the presence of justice.